out, and this is how I became a trauma therapist, because I had multiple traumas that led me to where I am today. And I know that I have a deep faith and a deep belief that everything happens for a reason, and we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And so that being said, I thought I need to get comfortable on a stage with a microphone and sharing my story to inspire others, because a good friend of mine once told me that sharing your story is not so much about yourself, but who you're going to help along the way. So that's where I get the courage to come out here today and hope that I'm going to at least potentially reach what I do, which I think I will. And if not, well, I get some free training on how to share my story in front of people. So it's a win-win. So that being said, it is called Don't Wait for Perfect. And as we probably all heard, nothing and nobody's perfect, and I kind of want to challenge that, because my experience led me to believe that everything is actually perfectly put in place to train us, to prepare us for what's ahead. And so I'm going to share a few of my life stories that led me to this deep belief system. So when I've always been a little bit, clearly a lot insecure as a child, and very negative self-talk and everything, but then at 18 years old, a few series of events took place that really brought it to the next level. And so I just turned 18, June 18, I thought it's my lucky year, I'm so excited, I'm from Quebec, and in Quebec at 18 you're an adult, so I was like, I'm finally an adult, I'm free, it's gonna be great. And then boom, a friend from school, a good friend, took his life, committed suicide, and that was quite the shock. And that was just the beginning of the series of events that led to my grandmother, which was very healthy, but needed somehow this heart bypass, and so she unfortunately passed away during the surgery, and that was another shock. And then 2 weeks later, my cousin, which was pretty much like a sister to me, very, very close, also took her life. Just after having a discussion with her of, you won't believe it, a friend from school just hung himself, this is traumatic. And she's like, oh. And then she does it. So I'm like thinking it was my fault, I did this. But anyways, all to say that that literally shocked my body, like literally shocked my body. I was 18, I was healthy, but I couldn't barely stand, and I could barely sit and walk. And so that's when I started to realize that there is a direct link between our mind, body, and our emotions. So that took me to a very dark, dark place. Although I was known to be a very positive, funny person, that kind of got washed away for a while. And there was this good saying in French, je m'en calisse, which means I don't give a fuck. That 18 became my good old saying for a while, and my mom was letting it pass because she was in pain as well. But anyways, that led to me being very, very curious about traumas and the nervous system and the impact on the body. And but that wasn't until later. But I'm going to share how these events led to where I am today. But it took a while for me to process that these events were for good reasons, and that were going to be a gift or a blessing in disguise. But in that moment, I didn't give a shit. But yeah, so if I was to fast forward years later, actually a few months later after that, and it started to heal as I started to process this event and accept it, I got hired for Canada and moved to Toronto, and I started flying around the world and started to try to pretend like I was over it by management, such as smoking a lot of weed and eating disorders and traveling the world, being happy, life is good, everybody's fine and perfect. But underneath it all, the pain was still there. And every time that I would get emotional or my life would get kind of shaky, my back would flare up again, and literally I couldn't walk. But that led me to my friends calling an ambulance for me on Thanksgiving Day one year, where my partner picked me up. The paramedic that picked me up actually became my husband that I have 2 children with, so you never know what leads to what. So, you never know, right? But yes, had I not had this emotional shock, I don't know that I would have picked up by the ambulance driver that gave me 2 beautiful children. So that was a blessing in disguise, part of the strategy. So I told my cousin, thanks for that one. But Fast forward later, I continued to really truly believe in the process of these events and that everything is kind of connected and it all has a purpose, including ourselves as humans, as souls. We have a purpose, and those events were just preparing me and training me for my own life purpose, which got me to be very curious about what happened to my body when I lost those people. How did all of a sudden I couldn't walk and needed all this assistance? And so I started studying trauma and spiritual healing and all this lovely stuff, and it led me to work in the field of mental health. And I have to mention Patricia Berenson, actually. That wasn't part of my speech, but she's here, and I love you, Patricia. Patricia is the owner and founder of Patricia Berenson and the Trauma Healing Center of London, which she connected me with somatic experiencing, which is a form of trauma healing that changed my life. So if you're interested, you can look it up. It's really lovely, and we offer it, a few of us here. Just FYI on the side. But yes, it was all part of the journey that led me to learn trauma healing and the nervous system, and allowed me to open my private practice, which although in those moments I equated that as the worst story of my life, the worst part of my life, now that I look back, it was completely perfect and necessary to bring me to where I am today, and to be quite efficient at helping others get out of those situations. Had I not suffered from my own trauma, from my own mental health, from my own addictions, I don't think I'd be a very good trauma therapist, which allows me to be very empathetic and understanding and patience with my patients, my clients. And so all to say that although sometimes we think life is falling apart and we don't know where we're going, we have to kind of let go and trust in the process, that there is a bigger plan, and that in the end it all kind of connects together. And I am such a deep believer of this, that this is only a snapshot of one stories, but I have multiple other ones, which Kevin told me less is more, so come back at another time. So maybe there's like stay tuned for follow-ups, because there's many more series of events in my life where people go, what? And I'm like, trust the process, there's going to be a blessing in the sky somewhere, and there always is. And I'm a firm believer of that, which allows me to help others kind of join in the faith. So all to say that these events actually allowed me to deepen my faith, meet my partner and have two beautiful children, and become a trauma therapist, which although now I am, as a child I was also that person where people came to ask for some guidance, but I just needed the training, and all of these were maybe not school, but it was a school of life that was ultimately training me to become who I am today. And so I invite you to look at all of your difficulties, your challenge, and any vulnerability that comes to you, and just lean into it and look at it as part of your training, part of what you're actually supposed to be learning. And if it's happening, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it, but not always in the way that you attempted to get it, but it falls in place with due time. So trust the process. Also, don't wait for perfection, because I really didn't have a clue what and how I was going to share this story, and I didn't think it was going to be perfect, but in all reality, none of you really know my story, and so none of you had any idea how I was going to share it, so if I fuck up, it's only me that knows. Really? So on that note, don't wait for perfection, because in my opinion, it's already here.